going to be going through a list of questions for your entertainment and for ours.
Yes. We need a little pick-me-up.
Everyday dose.
Oh my gosh. This is so good.
I'm so glad.
The iced latte lovers out there, you need to know that this everyday dose coffee that Meg refers to on her Instagram a couple times a month is so easy. And if you're an iced latte lover, like all you have to do is just mix a scoop of it
and mix
in your milk.
Yeah, it's like really.
You don't have to heat it up and then add the milk and then add the ice. Like it's just boom.
Yeah, and I put the pumpkin creamer in there, which is new.
This is so good. Welcome back to the Made to Flourish podcast. We're so glad that you're here. We're so glad you want to listen in and learn a little bit more about Meg and I at a more personal, relational level and just have some fun with us. Times be tough sometimes. And we just needed a little, we need to laugh.
We need a little, like endorphin.
Yeah, we need a little endorphin boost. And so this is going to be our endorphin boost. Thank you for sitting with us in that. Yes. I think you're going to enjoy it because these questions are actually really fun.
Yes, I'm excited about the embarrassing moment one. Yeah, I have a very embarrassing moment to make you guys all feel a lot better about your postpartum life, hopefully. Okay, so the first question is, I'll ask you, Yaz. What's a lesson you had to learn the hard way, but now you can laugh about?
I would say that a lesson I've had to learn the hard way that I do laugh about now is more broad in my personality. I think I've had to learn that optimism is not always my best friend.
Girl, I'm still learning.
And I've had to learn that the hard way. Coping mechanism.
Yeah.
As a kid and a defense mechanism, like my brain will automatically just shift to a better thought to not feel the pain.
Right.
And
That's
sanguine. Sanguine's got to survive. We got to survive on these streets. And I think life has just shown me that optimism, which when you mix it with faith can get a little funny.
Yeah.
You know, it can get a little interesting to mix your optimism with faith and what you believe God will do or what, things like that. I've just had to learn to not use optimism as a source of escape or processing, being okay with suffering and struggling.
Do you relate with that toxic positivity?
Yes.
Can you relate with that? Because I can see how I've really grown in that.
Same. In my 20s,
people couldn't suffer. You had to spin it.
Especially if people are going through death or something. I'm horrified. I'm horrified when I think about my responses to people who are trying to process through grief or death or something like that, because I did not know how to handle that.
Most young people don't. You have to learn that through your own suffering.
Things they don't teach us in school.
I hate it when people try to make me feel happy when I'm suffering.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it to other people.
Absolutely. So true. So true. So I would say, that's probably been my biggest life lesson. Optimism is not always your best friend.
Right.
It will come back.
You have to
and bite you in the butt.
How do you manage optimism? It's you have to I guess realism. You match it with what's real. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It is, because it becomes a little fantasy as opposed to just being realistic. And I had to be okay with the disappointment that can come with something being realistic.
Yeah.
Or not the best outcome. And that's actually kind of served me better sometimes, not to anticipate worst case scenario, not doing the opposite, but just not letting optimism be what leads me, but being the voice and the strength of God be what leads me. Yeah. What about you?
I know a lesson I had to learn.
That was kind of heavy and deep and stuff like that. So yours can be lighter if it needs to be.
I'm trying to think a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way. Oh, well, I mean, it's kind of deep too, but I laugh about it because I could just feel so silly now. But I'm an Enneagram 3.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the terms that are used for Enneagram 3s are the chameleon. You can just kind of become. I think about the different phases I was in. Did you used to wear metal nails through my ears?
No, you did not.
I went through a huge goth phase.
Metal nails.
And my ears got so infected because I'm allergic to lead. I couldn't wear regular earrings for a decade.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I used to have gauges in my ears. I would chameleon into the groups I was in. Once again, it was a trauma response because I just felt I didn't belong. I didn't have a lot of connection growing up. So I just wanted to connect with the people I was with. Course. So if my friends were into goth music, I'd be at Hot Topic buying those big baggy pants and wearing metal nails through my ears.
Oh my gosh.
I had to when I was in my early 20s, I remember I had to make a choice of being I have to get to know who I am. I genuinely couldn't connect with my own opinions. I was so disconnected from myself. And I was talking to this with a friend the other day, and I was like, I probably only know about 30 to 35% of like who I am still. Like I
Wow.
still have so much to know. Like people ask me what my opinions are, what my needs are. I'm like, it's a blank slate in there.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like rebuilding my identity
Wow.
after just years of morphing into other people.
Dang, that is really intense.
Isn't it dangerous? And
It
and
is.
the people who are wise, like we're able to catch on to it. They're able to be like, why are you acting like that?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like that?
Dang.
Yeah. So it's embarrassing. And I can laugh about it in a cringy way.
I'm just like, so it was metal. It was metalness. It wasn't like the silicone.
Oh no, they were real
plasticky.
nails.
You put like actual real nails into your ears?
Yeah, and I went to like metal concert. I still do actually, because my brother was in a metal band, so
Oh my
it was kind of like a scene kid, you know.
Because your friends were putting metal nails in
No,
their
no, no, no.
ears?
That was my original. That was my original take.
Original take.
I was gauging my ears, and I needed to go up a gauge, and I found nails, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, these are
that
the
does
perfect
sound
gauges."
like a teenager. Like
Teenagers are so stupid.
that sounds like something a teenager would do.
But I
Wow.
also went through like a kind of like a ghetto fabulous phase.
Yes.
Like hair, big makeup,
Hoops.
tight pants, tightest pants. I wanted a butt so bad.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted
You wanted a butt
booty.
so
Oh, my butt was so flat. Like, remember how having a big butt was really cool in high school?
Was it?
In my group of friends,
Okay.
it was.
Okay. I can't remember what was cool
It
in
was
high school.
never
To be
going
honest.
to happen to me.
I guess I had those things, so like I wasn't like
Right.
thinking about not having those things.
Right.
I've always been
Also,
a very voluptuous
You got
woman.
a great
Thank you. It's a
Question
little
number
flat these
2.
days too.
Oh, do you want to do this to future self? Send a message to yourself 10 years from now? I feel like that's probably humor in that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, what is the weirdest or most out there conspiracy theory you kind of want to believe in? This is so
I'm
good.
so scared.
Because I don't even know if you consider this a conspiracy anymore. I feel like this is just like truth for you now.
I'm really scared to bring this to the light.
You know what?
My husband
this is
cannot
a safe
hear
place.
this.
I don't know if that's a safe place, but this is a safe place.
Luckily, I don't think my husband's listening to our podcast. So
that's right. My team, if you're listening, turn it off now.
Please, I just ask those who are listening to not judge me. You know, don't be scared.
Don't unfollow us.
Yeah, don't unfollow us because of this. I'm just saying, like, the question is saying, what's the weirdest thing that's out there that you kind of want to believe in? Okay, so we're just gonna like preface it with like,
you don't have to own it.
I'm flirting with the conspiracy theory of flat Earth.
Flat Earth. Tell me, I want to know, because I know nothing about this, about round or flat Earth.
Okay.
So tell me, what are the main things that you were like, you know what? I'm starting to believe this.
Well, wow. Okay. There's a lot of main things. There's a lot of things out there that, you know, you can come across, which I'm more than happy to send you some videos if you like. So number one, the Earth being round, that there's a curvature. There's a lot of pilots. There's a lot of people in the aerospace world who, you know, have learned the map of the world and have flown the world that would say and claim that there is no curvature when they fly. That it's just flat. Like when people interview pilots, is there curvature? Have you seen curvature as they're like flying across the world? They're like, no, there's no curvature. It's just flat. There's also,
I mean, there's an edge of the world.
So yes, so the flat Earth theory.
Those people.
The flat Earth theory is that the world is like a circle, and the edge of the world is actually Antarctica. That actually goes all the way around. So it feels so funny talking about this. I think there's some validity to this from a biblical standpoint, even too, because then they would say that what protects our world would be the firmament. That the Earth is then protected by the firmament, and we hear about the firmament in Genesis. Right. This is a biblical term, and so if you want a visual of what the flat Earth could potentially look like, is that it would be like a pie with a dome, and what keeps the waters in is Antarctica's ice wall all around, which again, when you think about what we're not allowed to explore Antarctica,
that's sketchy.
It's sketchy.
I see some valid points.
Okay. Then there's a lot of speculation about the pictures that NASA produces.
NASA is red flag.
Well, red flag.
NASA.
There's only one letter missing in NASA that's not in the word Satan.
Hey.
And that's the T. If you combined it. NASA is the one producing these pictures. And like the pictures, if you actually look at pictures of the Earth, they look AI. It does not actually look like the real Earth.
Also, how is anyone ever going to prove Like, unless we see it with our own eyes.
And then, there's speculation about like if we ever went on the moon, and then like there's like astronauts from that time who were like, we're supposed to go on the moon, that actually would say like we actually never went on the moon. And then when you think about it, like in the 60s, there's no way in the 60s they got real actual footage of people landing on the moon.
I'm with you there.
Okay, like,
and my
come
husband,
on.
who's a pilot who like loves NASA,
Yeah.
like wish he was an astronaut.
Okay.
Like, he does not like this conversation. But I'm like, I don't trust NASA at all.
No, me either. And then the last thing I'll say about this is that there's a lot of historical maps that have been around, like early centuries, 17, 16, 15 centuries. If you find these early maps, the map is a flat earth map. And when you do like the math and the science and all of the aerospace numbers that I don't know, like I'm just like taking little information, but what I'm seeing all the pieces come together, it's making sense to me, because when they would put like the aerospace, information on that, the way that like we fly now, it actually matches the flat earth layout of the earth, not the global layout of the earth. And so again, we're just being told this is what the earth looks like via NASA. Like, how do we really know? So I'm not saying that.
That's why I feel very detached from the topic. I'm like, I'm not gonna know until I get to
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where, it doesn't actually affect my life, so it doesn't really matter. Except for it's another layer for me of just like,
we should have a flat earther on our podcast. I know of one that's local.
Do you?
Yeah, he's really intense. His name's Steven.
Oh my god.
He's Jim's best friend.
Oh my gosh,
knows
serious?
everything there is to know about being flat earther. That'd be so fun. And he's like a sanguine. He has to be a 7.
I would love to hear what he has to say.
Steve, you're coming on. You're coming on. Hannah, let your husband know.
Oh, really? Hannah's husband? That's hilarious. Yeah. So yeah, anyways, that would be it. Okay, cool. That would be it. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. It's okay. Everything's okay.
Honestly, I've like been trying to think about my own answer to this. The weirdest conspiracy that you kind of want to believe in. Honestly, all the conspiracies that I'm thinking of, like, I don't want to believe in.
Okay.
Like, the first conspiracy that popped into my head, I think it's called androchrome.
Okay, I've never heard of this.
So I'm just going to read you the description of this adrenochrome conspiracy theory. Like, I want to read it to you because I don't want to like get this wrong. Okay. It's intense.
I've never heard of this. I'm scared.
You literally haven't heard of this?
I've never heard this word.
Probably because I wanted to protect you. Okay, listen to this. All right.
I'm so scared.
The adrenochrome conspiracy theory is a belief popular in some internet circles suggesting that global elites harvest a chemical called adrenochrome from children as a part of rituals or anti-aging practices. Basically, like, you terrify children, then you drain their blood.
Yeah, that's awful.
It is.
I have heard of this, and
it's really sad because a lot of like Hollywood and political figures have engaged in like really harmful, secretive, I mean, look what happened with P. Diddy.
Look what's coming out with P. Diddy. I was going to say,
that 10-year-old boy.
Wait, what?
No, he's now being charged for raping a 10-year-old boy.
What? So a 10-year-old boy came out? How?
I don't know. I just saw it.
Oh, you got to send me that.
I really have like tried to tap out because I'm so disturbed.
Oh,
but what this is the one thing, not trying to like put a silver lining on something terrible that's happening. I will say that with what's happening with P. Diddy and what came out with Jeffrey Epstein and all these other people being brought to the surface is that people are now like these conspiracy theories of, oh, you think they're drinking little kids' blood? I do.
Actually, yes.
And you don't?
Yes. I think just the surge of witchcraft that we've seen come out, like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like what's going on with like the Illuminati and like Beyonce and like Jay-Z, and you're just like, it's being exposed.
Didn't like Megan Fox and like her fiance, what's his name? They like drink each other's blood. Like, if people are doing that at that level, what would stop people from doing that?
Blood from children.
Like other weird people who believe in very strange things.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
It's like,
oh, that's awful.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Hillary Clinton is so sketchy. Like, her history and background and like the children that have gone missing under like the Clinton Foundation, like what happened with that huge earthquake in Haiti. Like a ton of kids went missing under her administration because she was the Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
A ton of kids went missing, and like she's one of those people that name gets brought up a lot.
Oh my.
Okay, we gotta move on from that topic.
Woo!
I'm gonna let you pick out a question to ask me because I've been asking all the questions.
Okay, what's something you used to be obsessed with as a kid that you're a little embarrassed to admit now?
You know what? My collection when I was a kid was erasers.
Really?
Did you go through an eraser phase?
I did not.
It was the dumbest collection. I remember even as an 8-year-old being like, this is kind of dumb. Like, I wish would collect. You
like just different shapes and like, yeah, Lisa Frank. I mean,
I just had
sure.
this like box of like erasers, and I remember getting to the point one day where I was like, what am I going to do with all these freaking erasers? Like, I just, even as a kid, I knew that was kind of dumb. But, like, that was what I would collect. I also collect those, like, little metal spoons whenever we would travel somewhere. And we go to the tourist shops. I just loved anything miniature. So I remember getting these, like, little metal spoons and, like, eating, like, ice cream. You know?
Oh, my gosh. That's
You were doing that?
hilarious.
Did you ever, like, little things?
I never did
I love
that.
little trinkets. I am, like,
That
such
does
a
not
hoarder at
surprise
my
me
core.
about you with your sentimental side.
Oh, yes. The trinkets. The trinkets. Oh, man. If I was left unchecked, I can't imagine what my house would look like.
That is hilarious. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hoarder, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what is something you used to be obsessed with as a kid that you're a little embarrassed about now? I'm trying to think if there was anything I was obsessed with as a kid that I would be embarrassed about.
Are you obsessed with any boy bands or like?
I mean, I was totally obsessed with NSYNC. Like, but I'm not embarrassed. I'm very proud of that. I feel very proud to have been. I wasn't in the era of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
I really wasn't able to engage with that kind of stuff
because of your Christian household.
Culty, yeah, the culty side.
That's really sad. Those are like. Sometimes I just put on NSYNC when I need some support to clean this house, you know? Like, NSYNC is just
hits different.
I'm very proud of my NSYNC fanage lifestyle. Let me think about this, though.
Did you have a crush that you were obsessed with that you, like, wrote his name on everything?
Oh, now we're talking. Now we've opened the door.
Can I tell you something?
Oh, God.
I don't know how. I literally don't know how. I found a photo album. And in that photo album that I found the other day, in my own house, not my mom's house, my own house, were multiple pictures of this boy that I was obsessed with in the fourth grade. And I would buy those digital cameras, those like throwaway cameras, and I literally would just like snap pictures of him.
Stop.
And I follow him now on Instagram. I'm not going to say his name, so I'm too embarrassed. I follow him and his wife. And I found this photo album, and there's literally like 6 pictures of this like fourth grade boy. And I'm like, is this wrong that I still have this? Also, I don't want to throw them away.
You were not wanting to throw things away. You were hilarious.
They're just like some kind of connection. I'm like, oh my gosh,
what a weird,
do you have
sweet
pictures
memory.
Pictures of boys in here?
No, I don't, but I do. I mean, like, that is an embarrassing time in my life. Just like the amount of crushes
being a kid is embarrassing.
I had as like a little girl, like first grade, second grade, third, fourth, fifth. Like,
you had to have crushes on older guys too. I remember like there were like men in my church that like would have crushes on when I was a little kid.
Well, because I wasn't brought up in the church, I was only ever just like at elementary school. You know, I didn't like. I'm sure. No, you're right. I did have crushes on bigger. There was like this random boy. I have this like random memory of this boy who like took me on a ride on a 4-wheeler at this like bonfire that I went to as like a fourth grader. And I'm like, I don't know, it's so romantic.
You're gripping another man.
Yes, a little boy. No, a little boy.
Well, yeah, yes. But like, you know, they're men to us.
Yeah, totally.
I literally have the same like core memory.
It's just like dreaming, like obsessing over these boys. Yeah. You know, what would we have been? Like, what age are we at? Third and fourth 10, and fifth grade.
Like 9 or 10.
9 or 10. Yeah, there was a lot of crushes, and I remember probably the most embarrassing was we were getting ready to move from West Virginia to Michigan. I had this like long time crush on this boy named Ben in my class. And
did you write him a letter?
Yes, I wrote him a letter and I gave it to him and I confessed my love for him like over like the span of a couple of years and never heard from him. But then no, I don't think so. But what was embarrassing was that I went and revisited my classmates like a year later after I had moved to Michigan. I was like revisiting some friends. My mom just like let me go visit my friends. Like I don't know if they like drove me there. Yeah, isn't that random?
That's committed.
I don't remember how I got there, but I was there and I went and did like a day at the school.
Wow.
So I got to see all my old friends, which was so fun. But Ben was there. And Ben didn't acknowledge me. And it was like everyone was laughing. Like, but everyone remembered, like, oh yeah, you remember that like love note that Yasmina wrote him. And I just remembered that embarrassment in my body.
Oh my gosh.
You know, that I still feel today.
So bold though.
So yeah, thank you. I'm a bold kind of girl.
You.
Yeah. So when there's something I want, you know, you're gonna go for it. Yeah. So anyways, that would probably be like a very embarrassing childhood.
Oh my gosh. I remember playing footsie with Steven Salzano.
Oh my.
When I was in like the 6th grade. It felt very sexual back then. Literally, he was like slipped my like etnie off my foot. Like my PayPal etnie.
Oh my.
PayPal. Payless. my Payless version of Etnies.
Oh my
and like
gosh.
rubbed my foot with our socks
Oh
on.
my gosh,
Dirty girl.
honey. You need to stop.
It's just like those memories. Like every once in a while, it'll like ping me out of nowhere. I'll start to like sweat on my upper lip. I'm like, oh my god,
your upper lip starts to sweat.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I really want to answer the embarrassing moment question.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like this was like a moment for me postpartum.
What is one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to you in public?
Unfortunately, I have to sift through a lot of memories.
Yes.
Because I don't know if there's embarrassing people and not embarrassing people, but if there are two categories, I am the embarrassing one.
Okay,
I embarrass myself frequently. Like I can't even count how many times I've embarrassed myself. But the most recent embarrassing story that I feel like will be very relatable to mothers in general, because like if you're not a mom, you really don't understand quite yet the levels of embarrassment, like you just bodily.
Yeah, bodily, absolutely.
When you become a mom, you're just dealing with a whole
humility.
So I'm postpartum with Theo. It's my only postpartum that I've ever had in like spring and summer because I always have my babies in the winter. So I'm about, I would say like 4 weeks postpartum. I'm just at the point where I'm able to start going on walks. You know, when you're 3 or 4 weeks postpartum, like you don't have a lot of strength in your pelvic floor or your bladder or anything. Everything is like really loose.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm dressed. It's springtime. I let my kids have their bathing suits on, but I have like little newborn baby Theo with me, and we walk down to the beach, and I'm drinking a LaCroix, not thinking about it. And I sit down in the beach chair, and about 10 minutes in, I have this overwhelming need to pee. And it dawns on me, I'm in a massive, basically diaper, like postpartum.
Oh, you're in your
I'm still bleeding, right? Which, like, hindsight, I shouldn't have been walking while still bleeding.
Yeah,
but like, the beach is really close. It's like really close. Now I'm like not thinking about it being like a real walk. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still like in a diaper, big pad.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a bathing suit, and there's no way that I'm going to figure out how to pop a squat.
In the tall grass of the beach. Right?
I'm not about to be arrested for indecent exposure.
No, yeah.
Right? Now to add to that, Theo wasn't a good breastfeeder. I wasn't able to really nurse him at this time, and he starts crying. He needs food, and I didn't bring any food with him. So it's just like a messy moment, which like all of us moms can relate with. There's those moments where you're like, I have to pee. I don't have any resources. I don't have a bottle. Like I need to get home right now.
Yes.
So I snatched my toddlers up, my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old, up from the water, and I'm like, we got to go home. We got to go home right now. Like I have to pee so bad. I'm literally like, what am I going to do? So we start walking back to the house, and like with every step, like I have to pee so bad, and Theo is going berserk. So I have this newborn scream.
Oh, it's the worst.
So Theo was like screaming his brains out, and all I could think about is if I could just make it in my backyard, then I can pull down my pants and just like let it go. Like I couldn't even make it into my door, and I see my backyard now. I see my fence that's like already left open, and all I'm thinking about is like I just need to get through that fence and I can start to pee, right? So I barged through my fence with Theo screaming in the stroller next to me and my toddlers running in the backyard, and I just pull down my pants and I lean against my fence to hold me up because I don't have the strength. And I'm peeing, and I'm so relieved. And as the pee is like forcefully streaming out of my urethra, I hear my neighbor's voice, and she's walking through the fence.
Oh my God.
Because she can hear Theo screaming his brains out.
Oh my
And she's like, oh, honey, let me help you with the baby. And I'm looking at her, pants around my ankle, my giant postpartum pad. Who knows what it looks like down there.
Oh my God.
And all I can mutter is, all I can say in that moment is, I swear this has never happened before. Because I'm leaning on the fence that shares her yard. My pee is like streaming into her backyard. And I just look at her and I said, this has never happened before. I swear this is the first time that this has happened. She's like, oh, that's okay, honey. I'll just take him inside. She walks inside the house and just like dripping. And I just like shimmy my like fat girl pants back over my hips. Walk in the house, wash my hands. And we've never talked about it since then.
What an offense to like the relief that you were experiencing in that moment, because like when you have to pee really bad.
I just thought I was gonna be peeing my pants while walking. I just thought it was gonna be that toddler moment where they're like running in the park, you just see it start getting dark.
Oh my gosh!
So I thought it was a win for me to make it to the backyard, but it wasn't a win enough.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Don't you have like one more story about being postpartum? or close to that area where you got locked out of your house and you were like kind of naked?
I was in my underwear.
What is that one again? Your neighbors.
I don't fit into a lot of things
God
when I get really pregnant. Yeah, my neighbors have seen things they shouldn't have seen. And I grew out of my postpartum pants. I gained like 75 pounds when I was pregnant with Clementine. Or I gained like 70, maybe 65, 70 with Clementine. She wasn't my biggest, unfortunately. So our door is one of those doors where if you like flip the latch, like you can open it from the inside, but when it shuts, you can't get back into the house.
Oh, right.
And so 18-month-old Flora, the most curious, advanced little baby you've ever known in your life, would always be like flipping those little locks in my house.
Oh.
So one day we have backyard chickens and I'm in this like t-shirt, that chancho from Nacho Libre. Like it's like tight on my big swollen belly. I have like just like postpartum underwear on, like the most horrendous underwear.
Yeah. But and kind of the best in those early days. Yeah.
I like waddle. No, I wasn't postpartum yet. I was pregnant. So it was my maternity underwear. My big huge swollen belly. And I waddle out to my chickens and I feed my chickens and I go to get back in the house and like it's locked. The door's locked.
Oh my God.
And I see Flora inside and I'm like, Flora, unlock the door. And she just kind of like looks at me and like waves and like walks away. And I'm like, Flora. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a fire burning. My fire's on in the house.
Oh my God.
I have like a 20-month-old like roaming the house.
Yeah.
My choices are to stand outside and continue screaming her name and banging on the door, or to go through my front door. But it would require me walking in front of God knows who in this like tightest. I have no bra on.
Oh my God.
I'm in like my pregnancy underwear. And so I walk in my husband's workshop and he has these like old like greasy rags.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like held a greasy rag in the front. And like one in the back.
Oh my gosh.
Like a loincloth.
Oh my gosh. Just like
yeah. I'm just like praying to God. I didn't even want to see who was out there at the time. But yeah, I got back in the house.
So you made it in. Okay,
twice.
Good. Wow, that happened twice. Yeah, I feel like I just remember that's been like a theme of your
Flora, man.
Those early days.
Yeah, and people are like, why don't you do something about it? And I'm like, I don't actually know what to do because my toddler's the one that's locking it.
Yeah. And
I'm really not that committed to pants, not even through humiliation, not even through public humiliation am I committed to like wearing pants as a favorite pregnancy.
That is so funny.
Do you have any embarrassing moments like that? I
do.
feel like your life isn't as embarrassing as mine.
No, it's definitely not. And I'm sure there has been like little moments where I think I've like disassociated from a lot of my moments where I'm like, just forget that ever happened. But
I want to.
One that I can't forget my memory is one time Timna and I actually are one of our common mutual friends. We were like in our early 20s and we were stuck in like standstill traffic on 264.
Oh yeah.
Have I told you this story?
No, but I can already tell that this is going to get. Hold on,
we were in standstill traffic on 264 going towards the ocean front. And Timna was like she was in like a weird mood. She gets in these like weird, funny moods.
She's like a cat.
She is like a cat. Yeah. Yes. She found one of these like old gloves of mine. They were like Christmas gloves and they had like a snowman and like a penguin and like a Santa Claus or like something on there, and she was like leaning back so like everyone saw me in the car. She's leaning back and like doing this like weird puppet thing to this like car of guys that's like next to us. Okay. And I'm like, Timna, this is like really weird. She thought it was hilarious. She was just laughing at herself the whole time for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, so I'm sitting in the passenger seat. She's driving and she's doing this. She's leaned back. And so I'm the one that's like sitting up. And then she was like, hey, I really need to, I don't know what she needed to do, but she was basically asking me if we would switch sides. So I get out of the car. And again, there's this car of guys that are just like, trying to like get our attention. And we're just kind of ignoring them the whole time. And I get out of the car. I'm wearing sandals that have no grip whatsoever. And apparently the interstate doesn't really have much grip. Okay. And so I get out and I kind of just like, I'm like lightly jogging. I do a light jog to get around the car fast for some reason. And my legs, I've never experienced my legs coming out from underneath my body so strongly, so fast. So literally, I just like literally, because I think I was taking a turn in my light jog. My leg just came out and I literally fell on my side, like right on my hip. And scratched and like bruised this whole thing, and all the guys were like, "Oh!" out the window, like, "Whoa!" It was so the worst. That was really embarrassing. And then I had to get up and I had to go sit in the other seat and sit in that traffic for like 30 more minutes.
Yeah, that's so bad. How I never heard this story before.
While like throbbing. Like my hip was throbbing. Like I had
Did
a
you cry?
giant. I don't remember. I think I was so embarrassed that I couldn't. I don't think I could.
What was Timna's response?
Oh, she was done. She was done. She laughed for the entire 30 minutes, which was helpful because I was like, we have to laugh because now the same guys who were hooting and hollering and then like reacting to my situation, they're like staring at us.
Oh my gosh.
We had to stay next to them.
That's just like,
it was
how
awful.
Were you, like 20,
I was like 20. Yeah, I was like
that
21 years old.
So bad. Falling publicly.
In
I'm
front of
cramping. Like, my
standstill
abs
traffic.
are cramping right now.
It was so bad.
To fall and then not be able to escape your audience.
Yes. And then like have a giant bruise on you for like weeks after that.
Sucks so bad.
Oh man. So yeah, that was probably the most embarrassing.
Well, one time I had a button-down flannel on that didn't button. They were just like were clasps, like almost like the clasp on a onesie, you know? And I had beakers in my hands. I was in one of my science labs in college. And I like was like able to like take like a pinky and like open the door of our lab door. But it was one of those handles that were like this.
Yes.
And so it hooked my shirt and it ripped my shirt completely open. But because I had my hands full of beakers, the only thing I knew what to do was to press my body against the wall and say, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me!" And everyone like looks over. And I'm like, "Someone grab the beakers! Grab the beakers!" Because literally it was just completely exposed. Yeah. All I did was just my belly against the wall, and I was my beakers out, and then these people had to like come over and grab the beakers from my hand, and I just had to slowly.
And like, here's the thing: probably no one was looking at you, but then everyone was looking at you.
But what was I gonna do? I'm like, belly against the wall. I'm like, I have to get help now. I need help. What's my other option? You know,
you have like a tank top on underneath. It was just full.
No. It was just whatever Victoria's Secret bra I was wearing back then. You know, I'm pretty sure it was my teal bra. So yeah, I have a lot of embarrassing stories. I also spilled a venti hot coffee in front of my chemistry class, which had 300 students in it. It just tipped off the front and went everywhere. And so it took me like 20 minutes to mop that up.
Oh my gosh.
While our teacher was like lecturing. I remember being really embarrassed.
That is really embarrassing. How did you have 300 students in a classroom like that? I don't even understand.
I went to a university.
Oh, it was at college. It was at college.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so it was just like a lecture hall. So like it's like a stadium.
Okay.
And I was at the bottom, and it tipped. So like everyone in the class just like watched me. I was wearing white. I had white pants on that day.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like,
fun fact about me: I've never been to college. Oh, yeah. And so like when you say that, I'm like, oh, that's real. Like they really have classes that are that big. Like in the movies.
Oh yeah.
That feels like an in the movies moment for me because I've never actually experienced like a 4-year college experience.
Yes. I always wanted to go to like a big college. Like to me, I went to the University of North Florida, which I don't know what people would consider, but it didn't feel big enough. But it was by the beach.
Yeah.
That mattered to me more than
anything. Of course. Wow. I wonder if that's still like a popular thing now, having these big lecture halls, 300 students in the class.
I think it's cost efficient because you have 300 people paying, but you're only paying one teacher.
Wow. Anyways.
If you could relive one specific moment from our friendship in slow motion, what would it be and why? Oh, I think I know what mine would be. Watching you give birth to Eliana. That was so sweet.
That was really sweet.
I wish I could relive that like 100 times.
Wow.
I can't wait to live with this baby.
Oh, I know. I really hope.
I was so proud of you. Just seeing Ellie just like elegant little she reminded me of like a frog that was like stretched out.
She came out so peacefully.
Yeah.
I know, that was really sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. A really special memory I have with you, and like just it was just like a very emotional, deep moment for me, was when we were in Cape Charles in 2021, and for my 33rd, oh Lord, because I'm 36, right? Birthday, and we like got up early. We went and caught the sunrise with some of the girls, but we were able to have like a moment. I just remember waking up just feeling, because again, this was about like a year and a half into our friendship, which has been like, so that people know, has been just like a very like healing, restoring friendship for me, that like the Lord has used to just heal my heart in so many ways on the friendship level. And just being a year and a half into experiencing like, wow, this is what true like connection looks like, vulnerability, wholeness, like healing, all these things in this friendship. I just remember like that feeling of like just this overwhelming gratitude for your presence in my life. You were the gift to me on that day. And that like just remember having that moment with you with the sun rising and we're like praying.
We're on the rock.
On the rocks, and I was like, you are that. So that was just like a sweet, special moment.
That was really special.
Yeah.
I love that. What's a habit or quirk of yours that you're almost too proud to admit? Like you're almost like not that you're proud of it, but you're like almost like too embarrassed.
Like like you're embarrassed and like a quirk or habit.
I'm such a quirky person. Like I have so many coming into my brain. I would say that like one of like a cringy quirk that I have that like most people would find really disgusting goes back to like my hoarding tendencies, right? And so I remember like saving when my kids' belly buttons fell off the cord. It's so hard for me to throw that away.
Really, I couldn't relate to that.
See, thank you. I'm not super weird. Can't be like,
I don't
what
know
do you
what
do with
to
this?
do with
I'm like, I
this.
don't know. Like it was literally like your umbilical cord. Like what?
I'm always like conflicted about what to do with it.
What's a quirk that you think I have that's interesting?
Quirk that I think you have that's interesting.
Or just like, have you noticed any quirks?
I'm sure I have, but like
okay, here's a quirk. I like to consider myself like in the bug world, I would be the cockroach. Like I am like adaptable,
right?
Because I'm disgusting. You know what I mean? Like I could outlive. Like if there was an apocalypse, like me and my dad would be left standing because our standards for living are so low that like we could just like make it.
You can make it work. Like you could do like a Survivor show.
Probably. I feel like I could because
or like a Naked and Afraid or something.
Yeah, because I'm adaptable. But like so, for instance, expiration dates.
Are those like, just like those a suggestion to you?
Those don't even exist to me. If I may smell it and it doesn't smell like it's gonna like hurt me.
Okay.
And then the next step is the smell's kind of weird. I'm gonna taste it just to like see.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I'm gonna eat a little bit, and if I get sick, I won't feed it to my family. And you know what? My kids have never gotten like food poisoning ever.
Huh.
Now I'm not obviously like if something is like spoiled. Like the other day, I had to throw out like some like ground turkey.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this smells weird.
Yeah.
So I just like threw it out.
Yeah.
But like there's times where like I'll have like bone broth. I'm like, I don't actually remember when I put that bone broth in my fridge, but I made it, and I don't.
Be fine.
And I can't remember what bone broth's supposed to smell like.
Right.
But it's gonna be boiled in a stew.
Yeah, like it should be fine. Right?
Yeah, I'm such an optimist when it comes to expiration dates.
That is hilarious.
But it is. I bet like if other people saw me, they'd be like,
don't do that.
Like you're not like living in a third world country. Like buy new yogurt.
Yes, right.
Or throw that cheese out.
Right.
And I'm like, I can use it for something.
That is really funny. Gosh, what is something in that sphere? I know there's got to be something.
I honestly feel like you are really normal in the best way possible.
Do you think so?
I don't like look at you and be like, yeah, she's quirky.
She's like a quirky person. You're like a particular
like the fact that like Timna was doing that with the gloves and you're like, like I probably been like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
It's just like
you're like that was
not connecting with that humor at all. I was like, what is so funny? The only thing I could think of in this realm for right now is that I do have this like very particular thing about or quirk about my face, like my skin and like my towels and like sheets. So like I'll never forget when Akeem and I got married and you know we're figuring out how to live together and I like have my face towel and I have like my body towel and I have my hair towel. You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've kind of like loosened up.
Which ones?
Yes, like I have a color scheme. Cool. Well, face towel is obviously the size, but the color scheme for the body and the like. I just remember, okay, this week it's like green towels for my hair, blue towels for my body.
Wow.
And I'll like also decide that off of the size. Like if it's a bit of a smaller towel, that's towels for my hair, obviously. And then the bigger towel is gonna be for my body. I remember one time like coming in and Akeem had just gotten out of the shower and he had a towel on him and it was my towel. And I was like, why are you using my towel?
Right, yeah.
He's like, it was here. It was like that's my towel.
Yeah.
And then like I think I like saw him like using my face towel for his hands and I was like,
oh no.
That is for my face. You cannot use my face towel for your hands. You know, for anything else. Like that is for my face. So like and if he tries to touch my hand, I think like that's a thing where I like actually am gonna freak out is if you touch my face with your bare hands.
Yeah.
Because I just think about like oil and like, you know, pores. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably like a teenage thing that's like just like stayed with me.
Yeah.
Because my skin's great now and it's like very durable. It deals with a lot of bacteria. Let's just say that with the life that I live.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be the only thing I can think of right now. But thank you for calling me normal. Thank God.
I think you're normal. Cam, that's like I'll shout out my husband right now for his weird quirk is that he never freaking washes towels.
He never washes towels?
Yes, like I'll like go to like wipe my
this
face
is shocking
because
to
I'm
me.
not quirky about towels, right? So whatever is hanging up and dry, I'm gonna put my face in. And I'll put my face in like, oh,
that's a key.
Like, how long has this towel been on the hook for? It's like crusty.
I'm actually really shocked.
I know, because Cam is the OCD one.
Yes.
Not with towels.
Interesting.
He will use the same towel for like 6 months. I'll be like, this literally smells.
I wonder if it's like the military in him or something. Is that like boot
I don't know. I just
what
think you can only be anal about so much.
That's true.
And so the towels just didn't make it on his list. You know what I mean? It's not on his list.
Oh my God, we should get our husbands in here
That'd be really
sometime
fun.
and like do questions with them. That'd be really interesting. What's one hot take or unpopular opinion that you 100% stand by no matter how much people disagree? I definitely think mine would be for sure. So we're recording today on Halloween, and this has been like a recent conversation that we've been having a lot. And
it's so heated on the internet.
It's of course people love talking about it right now.
Both sides.
Of course.
Can be really obnoxious about it.
100%. And I think for me, I did come across information years ago about just like the history and just like the context of Halloween. And it was enough for me to be like, yeah, Halloween is just not something like I'm going to have my kids celebrate. And I don't have any desire to like budge on it. Halloween and like any really occultish stuff, like even like yoga. I know yoga is like a little bit like controversial in the Christian world. It's just not going to be a thing. Like, we're just not going to engage.
Like, I'm just trying to minimize any, like, demonic access.
Yes.
As much as I can.
I'm even, like, I don't have enough clarity on this. Like, for me, Halloween was a very easy choice because of the whole is, like, in its nature dark. Right? Like, not an our age bracket, but, like, you know, you look at the Halloween decorations these years, this, like, as the recently years have gotten crazy. Like, people are like
actually scary looking things. Like,
horrifying.
Please don't make me process monsters with my kids like that, or like bloody.
I just want to walk.
I went to a coffee shop and there was a severed hand. A fake severed hand in the fridge with like blood smears down, and I had to have this conversation with Theo. He was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's fake, buddy. It's okay. It's because of Halloween." He's like, "Why are they doing that because of Halloween?" And I was like, "I don't know. They've just put things out to scare people." And he was like, "Okay."
Right. So the whole premise of Halloween is literally for fear. It's literally to create fear. So
well, you know the Celtics. I was like reading about the history last night. And it was like it's like a Celtic origin. People would dress up like scary things so that to confuse evil spirits, so that evil spirits wouldn't afflict them. They would dress up like evil spirits.
Right. Which doesn't make sense when you actually think about it.
I mean, nothing really makes sense back then, but yeah.
But even in that whole concept, right, it's funny, like in the occult world, they like use certain things like the evil eye. We were talking about the evil eye the other day. Like the evil eye, people in like Islamic countries and like Arabic countries, they use the evil eye to protect them from evil, but the evil eye simultaneously represents having like jealousy and like all of this like yucky bad intent towards people. So to me, I'm like, to use the same thing
that you're trying
to protect from, to also use that to curse or like hurt people, like that is so counterfeit. It's so backwards. It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, so anyways.
So your unpopular opinion
would be I don't agree with celebrating Halloween. And I will preface that, like, I'm still trying to figure out where I stand with even how we celebrate Christmas as well as Easter.
Okay.
I still like, I feel like I have a bit more of like a intrigue to like the Jewish bend of how some of those moments were celebrated. And I think when you come into counter with like the history of these particular holidays, it becomes a little confusing for me because I'm like, the nature of these or the origin of these particular holidays are actually not rooted in like biblical
I would say that Jews were known to repurpose holidays.
Yes, and so were Christians. So we're like that, like with like Augustus, the one that starts with a C. Constantine. He made a lot of choices in church history to kind of like open, like to like welcome pagans and into the Christian faith, but like there was a lot of blending. So I think like when I learn about the blending of culture and, you know, history and decisions that were made centuries ago that have just become normal to us, it just becomes conflicting for me.
Right. I remember we've had this conversation about Christmas trees.
Yes, I don't know how I feel about Christmas trees.
Like Nimrod used them. It was an idol for like Nimrod.
Yes.
But like, this is where I go. So where we
Yes.
differ is that
Yeah.
I'm like, God actually created trees.
God created trees. I agree.
So like they're trying to steal a tree and make
Yeah.
it counterfeit. But
Yes.
if we take a tree and we're like, I'm gonna honor the birth of Jesus through this tree, like I feel like ours makes a lot more sense to God than like them trying to use a tree to like make an idol out of it.
Yeah.
I really feel like people like I feel like it's not a black and white issue. Like you have to
Totally.
like follow your spirit.
You have to follow your spirit. And that's what I'm just trying to figure out what my spirit's trying to say to me. So what about yours?
My hot take on unpopular opinion that I 100% stand by no matter how much people disagree. This might be even more controversial than Halloween.
Oh gosh. Could it be?
I feel like people don't say no to their children enough. And they give their children, typically in our culture, and they give their children way too much say on things. Yeah. And it's actually really dysregulating and damaging to kids. Yeah. So I remember I was watching a real
AKA you're not a gentle believer.
Right. Yeah. I'm not with gentle parenting. Yes. I actually think that gentle parenting, well, like it just depends. It depends on like what your opinion of gentle parenting
and maybe that we would have to clarify what that means.
Yeah.
But
so I
that's
would
like
say
the term that gets thrown out there.
Yes. I would say that like there are some like key things with gentle parenting that I agree with, but I think that like when you give your kid way too much freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of like whatever, like freedom of how they can even speak to you, that like you're actually creating a lot of dysregulation because my kids don't throw fits. It's not because they're scared of me. They disobey. Like it's not like that their fear of me creates whatever, which is what I think gentle parents would say. Well, your kids are well behaved because they're scared of you. I would say that my kids are well behaved because like I've never tolerated certain things. So if they were to say no, mommy, and like throw a cup at me, my instant response is like, because you've made this choice, you have now earned a consequence. Whatever that consequence is, probably me like taking them by the hand and bringing them to their bedroom. Like you're gonna sit in your bedroom for 5 minutes, and if you don't sit in your bedroom for 5 minutes, we're gonna have to do another consequence. They just can't get out of that. Yeah. And so like my kids from an early age learn that like, oh, I can't say no and throw stuff at my mom. Right. You know. Also, like, okay, this is one memory. You know, there's like pivotal moments in motherhood where you're like, oh, I just like learned a valuable lesson. Yeah, for sure. Flora used to love school buses when she was like 3 years old. And every time I saw, I have videos of me being like, look, Flora, school bus. She'd be like, oh my gosh, that's cool. This is the cutest thing. So I go to this, I'm like exploring homeschooling. Yeah. I was trying to think about homeschooling. And I go to this like little homeschooling meeting. And I'm with a mom. She has like, I think she's 5 kids. And she's talking about homeschooling. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, Flora just like loves like school buses. She loves the idea of going to schools. She loves like, I feel like she would really thrive in like this like school setting. And there's all these things I feel like she's really excited about when it comes to school. And she looked at me in a really like harsh way, not harsh, but like direct. Yeah. And she's like, your daughter's 3. She doesn't know what she wants. Oh God, so true. And that's actually hard to hear when you're a new mom. Yeah, it is. Because you're like, she's a genius. She knows so much about what she wants. She knows all reasons. And now I'm sitting here and I have this like almost 9-year-old. Yeah. And I'm like, 3-year-olds don't know what they want. But I see a lot of people on the internet world. And it changes, by the way, like within 6 months. Oh my gosh, does it change? Yeah. But I think that we just give way too much credit to these like brains that are so in the early developments. Like you need to be your child's brain for so many things. Like, yes, they have some individuality. Yes, they do have some choices. Like you can give them that. But if you give them too much, you're actually going to see a lot of unregulated behavior. Yeah. And so and so like for like Flora, like I'm really glad that someone been like, she doesn't know what she wants. Like homeschool her because you're probably gonna be doing a much better job in like that public school down your road that's like a D-level school. Right. You know, just because she likes school buses. Right. Like that actually doesn't have a lot of weight. And so I just remember like learning that. And I feel like, there was just like some things that I did in parenting where I was like, you might not want that, but like you're actually a part of a team here. I remember I watched this one reel where the mom was talking about like not having another kid because she didn't think that her daughter had never asked for a sibling. And her daughter's a part of her family. And all these people were like, wow, that's such a good point. I've never thought about that. Like, I've never thought about like how you could be like disrespecting your own kid by like bringing another sibling in. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a really interesting You're going to trust the growth of your family to a child that can't even poop on a toilet. Wow. They don't even know how to like manage their own bowels. Right. And like you're really giving that a lot of weight. Wow. And I just like there's just been so many moments. So I would say my unpopular opinion is I really feel like you actually need to be the main authority figure in your home. And even when it comes like, and this is once again unpopular, I understand that. And I'm not saying that like I want to control how other people parent. Yeah. It's not my heart to control how other people parent. But like, even when it comes to expressing emotions, like my
Yeah.
kids were allowed to express their emotions, but if it took over
Yes.
what we were doing, they had to
Yes.
leave. Like Flora was like screaming and crying. I'd be
Yeah.
like, you're allowed to scream and cry, but you have to do it in your bedroom with the door shut.
Yep.
Because what you're doing out here is
Yes.
affecting my 3 other kids
100%.
and me and my husband, or whatever's going on. Like, you can't control the environment with your
Yes.
emotional outbursts.
Yep. Yep.
And I've watched how like the gentle parenting world has been like, oh, I need to honor you, you do all these things. And I'm like, dude, like, you're actually letting your kids manipulate
Yeah,
and
yeah,
control. And
yeah.
that's going to be like really like a hard wake up call for them one day when they grow up.
That's really good. Yeah, I think that's like that could be a whole even subject
could be a
conversation
whole- that
that
could be
we
a-
could
yeah,
have. Yeah, I think people
totally.
might definitely be a little surprised to hear that you're not like
Not gentle
pro gentle parenting.
But I will say that, like, okay, so that book Love and Logic that I
yes,
love,
yes.
it's all about like parenting with boundaries and empathy hand in hand, because I'm very empathetic. So if my kid is like feeling something emotionally, like I naturally lean into that, but I like learned really good boundaries with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good. It's really good. Love that.
What's the weirdest food combination? What is a weird food combination you actually enjoy but hesitate to admit?
Okay, so I can't think of one right now, except for I do feel like I've said something recently that I've been judged for, and I don't know if it was from you or someone else.
Pickles and peanut butter?
Was it like, I don't know if it was me telling someone that I liked bread pudding or something else. It wasn't bread pudding. It was something else where I was like,
Like soggy bread?
something. But I'll tell you 2 things that I used to do as a kid
Oh.
that like I really loved as a kid.
Yeah.
That is this.
Mm.
I loved taking baby carrots
Mm.
and rolling them up in the old like rubbery American cheese and eating that combo together.
Oh, interesting.
Ew,
The
right?
American cheese.
It was so good to me.
When's the last time you've had
I
this?
can't believe my
American
mom
cheese?
bought that for
I
me
know.
as like a dietitian, that she would buy that
But
cheese.
you know,
for
it's not
us.
even actually cheese. It's considered like cheese food.
It's like plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literal
Petroleum,
plastic.
yeah.
It's disgusting. But I would roll my baby
Wow.
carrots up and I loved it. And I used to also love, we used to go to this restaurant bar with my dad growing up, and they would always let you have a basket of popcorn, like while you wait. And I would get a side of mashed potatoes and I would put my popcorn in the mashed potatoes. And I would eat popcorn and mashed potatoes together. And it was so good.
That's really good.
I have like core memories of those 2 weird snack combinations that we
Popcorn, mashed
do.
potatoes. Oh,
So I don't know,
God.
try it sometime. It's kind
I
of good.
will. I mean, like, I don't hate the thought of it. Like the texture.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Put some cheese on top. Like,
Okay, this is like my fat girl weird obsession with food, or like weird food combination. I would take, when I really wanted something sweet, but I didn't, like, I'm like a sweets person at my core.
I love it. Love it about you.
I love sugar. I love sugar. But I would take marshmallows,
Okay.
chocolate chips,
Love.
and peanut butter.
Yes.
And I would microwave it.
So smart.
Stir it as fast as I
Oh
could,
my
and then kind of
God.
let it cool into like a fudge, and then I would like eat that fudge. And it would
Can
like
we
harden
do
onto
that?
It's so good.
Can we do that together with your marshmallows?
Oh
my God, that sounds flipping amazing.
I now have all the good ingredients, so it would be horrifying. But it would like harden onto like my metal spoon. I remember just like taking my teeth and like dragging it against like that like hardened marshmallow.
Yeah, yes, I know what you mean. When it's harder than it ever was.
I just remember like watching like dumb TV shows like late at night with that like hardened.
That sounds
spoon.
amazing.
Thank you.
You're either a peanut butter chocolate girl and you can appreciate
People
everything
who
that comes with that.
Like peanut butter chocolate, I don't trust.
My husband. Why do you
You're not to be
peanut butter
trusted.
and chocolate
Or
combo?
caramel and chocolate? Like
That
that's
is wrong.
Are you not human?
How are you not human? So yes, I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Made to Flourish podcast and just sitting here and reminiscing on all the things that make us us.
Yeah. Why don't you drop the weirdest food combination that you guys had in our comments below, or your most embarrassing story? Pick a question that you liked and drop it in the comments
we
below.
would love to hear it.